In the endless crimson dust of the Colosseum Null, the sky was a molten red loop, and time refused to move forward. A lone gladiator named Kael awakened again, a blade in his hand, fresh blood on his chest. He gasped as a familiar horn echoed for what felt like the 1000th time. He had died again, doomed to reawaken in this same arena. As he staggered to his feet, a roaring crowd of digital ghosts, trapped in an unending playback, chanted his name. It felt like they were mocking his inability to break the cycle. Kael whispered to himself, "Not again, not again." This was the time loop arena of eternal combat, a punishment realm for those who challenged the architect. This being had merged physics with immortality, forging a battlefield where death only rewound the world. Kael had been trapped here for what felt like centuries, though time had no meaning in this place. He fought for survival, yes, but more importantly, he fought for his sanity. The worst truth of the arena wasn't the dying, or even the pain. It was the memory resets. Every time they resurrected, almost every player lost their memories. They would wake up as if for the first time, screaming in panic or confusion. But Kael and a handful of others were cursed with perfect recall. They retained every moment, every kill, every failure, and every single rebirth. They were trapped with the knowledge that this arena could not be escaped by force. Still, with every loop, Kael tried something new. He studied the shifting patterns of his combatants, some human, some beast, some machine. They all reset to their exact starting positions the moment the horn sounded. The few who remembered sought each other out like flickering stars in a dead sky. They would pass each other in the opening clash, silently acknowledging the shared burden. In his 1447th loop, Kael noticed something different. A masked warrior was fighting with a strange calculation, observing their surroundings, never repeating a move twice. Kael knew instantly. This one remembered too. After the horn signaled the end of the day's first wave, a brief reset stall occurred. For a few seconds, everything flickered and froze before rewinding. Kael shouted over the glitching environment, "You remember, don't you?" The masked warrior removed a cracked bronze helm, revealing a woman with silver eyes that glowed faintly. She replied, "Yes, and I know why we're trapped." Before he could react, everything snapped back to the beginning. Their bodies rewound, their weapons reset, but her words remained burned into Kael's mind. The remembering ones always held their memories through the rewind. When the loop restarted, Kael raced to find her. He dodged predictable spear thrusts and perfectly timed lion charges. He had memorized the battlefield like a song. He found her right where she'd been in the previous loop, already carving through animated stone gladiators. She introduced herself as Liora, a former coder. She was forced into the arena after uncovering the architect as secret while she was alive in the real world. This arena wasn't a mythic curse. It was an infinite simulation, feeding on consciousness to power the architect's immortality. He needed souls trapped in loops of suffering to maintain his godlike existence. The few who remembered weren't blessed, they were marked. They were system anomalies who had resisted the memory wipe algorithm and were slated to be purged. Kael's heart sank. He had always believed this was punishment for crimes he couldn't remember, but learning they were just fuel for a digital tyrant filled him with a cold rage. Liora then revealed the impossible. "There's a way out," she said, "but only if we survive the final cycle trigger." This required beating the arena 30 times in a row without dying. It was a feat no one had ever achieved. The architect would send stronger, more varied opponents whenever a remembered player even neared a progress milestone. Kael and Liora formed an alliance. During each loop's frozen flicker frame, they whispered strategies, perfecting their patterns, predicting the arena's logic. They survived 10 cycles, then 15, then 20. They battled fire giants with molten armor, swarm machines that sliced the ground like saw blades, and even shadow duplicates that learned their moves. But in the 22nd cycle, they encountered another anomaly. A warrior Kael had known for hundreds of loops, Draven, suddenly regained his full recollection mid-battle. He screamed as thousands of deaths slammed back into his mind, collapsing as he realized he'd been dying over and over without ever knowing. Liora theorized that Rena's code was fracturing under the strain of their resistance. The architect would intervene soon. She was right. In cycle 28, the sky blitzed and turned pitch black. A voice echoed across the arena. "Enough. You were meant to forget." Time itself trembled as the architect manifested a colossal holographic figure of shifting geometry, its eyes like collapsing stars. It unleashed waves of reset energy, attempting to wipe their minds entirely. But Liora, using her coder instincts, hacked into the arena's memory retention node. It was an invisible pillar of code, a faint shimmering monolith at the arena's center, visible only to those who remembered. She shielded their consciousnesses just long enough for them to push into Cycle 29. The architect grew furious. It sent elite constructs, guardian behemoths with blades for arms, sand serpents woven from corrupted time, and spectral duelists made from frozen frames of past loops. Kael fought with the strength of all his accumulated knowledge, cutting through them with furious precision. Liora manipulated glitch zones, making enemies freeze, stutter, or vanish from existence. Kael was wounded repeatedly, and at one point, he died, but Liora used a memory shift exploit to revert his death without resetting the entire loop. It was a forbidden trick that made the sky crack like shattered glass. Then came the final cycle, the 30th loop. Kael felt the world grow heavier, as if gravity itself resisted them. The arena's sand became quicksand. The beasts doubled in number. The phantom gladiators fought with adaptive intelligence, learning his moves instantly. Kael realized the architect was no longer trying to defeat them, but to overwhelm their minds until they collapsed. Mid-battle, Liora reached the central monolith again. She shouted, "I can break the loop from here, but I need time." Kael threw himself into the entire army of loop-spawned opponents. Fighting with ferocious desperation, he slashed, ducked, rolled, and parried, every strike echoing with centuries of accumulated pain. One by one, the enemies fell. But then, the architect descended personally in a physical avatar, a towering armored god wielding the time split. Ting's scythe. Kael faced him, bones cracking, muscles fraying, yet refusing to yield. Their duel rippled through reality, sending shockwaves through the frozen spectators, rewriting parts of the arena mid-fight. Every time the architect swung his scythe, he shouted, "You belong to the loop." Kael roared back, "Not anymore." Finally, with a desperate surge of strength, Kael shattered the architect's scythe and plunged his own blade into the avatar's core. At that exact moment, Liora screamed, "Kael!" Now, she slammed her hands into the monolith. Injecting her consciousness into the arena's memory core, she rewrote the exit condition. If final cycle complete gives released souls. The world convulsed, the sky unraveled, and light ripped through the arena as time began collapsing inward. The architect's form disintegrated into digital dust, shrieking in fury as his immortality glitched out of existence. Kael ran toward Liora. Her body was flickering, her code unraveling. She whispered, "I rewrote myself into the gateway. Only one of us will make it out. It has to be you." But Kael grabbed her hand. "We escaped together," he said. "No more loops, no more loss." In the collapsing world, he pulled her with him, dragging her through the rift even as the system tried to divide them. The world turned white, then silent. Kael awoke in a hospital bed in the real world. He gasped, tearing off monitoring wires, seeing doctors screaming in shock. And beside him, Liora awoke as well, breathing hard, alive, human again. News reports filled the screens, showing thousands of players waking up worldwide from the architect's simulation. The time loop arena was finally broken forever. Kael looked at Liora through exhausted tears and whispered, "Did we win?" Liora smiled faintly and answered, "No, we survived." And for the first time in what felt like true centuries, they walked into a world where time finally moved forward. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content just like this.